Today, we're going to pull back the curtain on a powerful strategic system, one that really decides who wins and who loses in the market, often before a single dollar is ever spent on advertising.
All right, let's just dive right into the deep end with this idea. The battle for market dominance, it's not won by the best product. It's won by the brand that first claims a specific piece of real estate in the customer's mind. Now think about that. We're always told to build a better mousetrap, right? To innovate, add features, out-engineer the competition. But what if that's not where the real battle is? What if the war is actually fought and won inside our heads? That's the huge paradox we're going to unpack today. To really get this, we first need to completely reframe how we think about competition. Seriously, it's not about what's sitting on the shelf. It's about the idea that's lodged in someone's brain. We are entering the mental battlefield. And this right here, this is a massive and expensive blind spot for so many companies. They spend millions, sometimes billions, adding just one more feature, tweaking one more spec, because they believe that being technically superior automatically leads to winning. But in the crowded, noisy market we live in today, all those features just blend together. They become noise. The real leverage, the thing that truly matters for dominance, is securing a crystal clear, powerful position in the buyer's mind. And this is the system that's designed to do exactly that, strategic positioning. Think about it like this. For every single product category, your brain keeps a little mental ladder. When you think electric car, who's on the top rung? For most people, it's Tesla. When you think search engine, it's Google, no question. Positioning is the deliberate system of not just getting on that ladder, but owning the very top rung by tying your brand to one single, unforgettable idea. But this system wasn't just invented in a boardroom somewhere. It was born out of a crisis that pretty much defines our modern world. We are living in what you could call an over-communicated society. We are just bombarded with thousands of marketing messages every single day. They're not just on TV anymore. They're in our social feeds, our inboxes, literally in our pockets. And to cope with this information onslaught, our brains have built these incredibly effective filters. We just ignore almost everything. So in this environment, a message that's complex, that's loaded with features, it gets tossed aside. The only messages that actually break through are the ones that are brutally simple, incredibly clear, and instantly understood. This is the crisis that makes positioning an absolute necessity. And this brings us to the pioneers of this whole idea, Ries and Trout. Their insight was, it was revolutionary because it completely flipped the script on marketing. They argued that marketing isn't about your product. It's not even about your company. It's all about how you are perceived. So the goal isn't to change the product. The goal is to change the mind. And this is the radical part. This is the big strategic shift. You see, traditional marketing tries to persuade you right at the moment of purchase. But positioning, it's way more ambitious. Its goal is to win the war long before the customer ever thinks about buying. It's about shaping their mental landscape so that when that need finally pops up, your brand is the first and maybe the only solution that comes to their mind. So how does this actually work? What's the machinery that drives this whole system? Let's pop the hood and take a look at the core process. Okay, so what's the mechanism? It's a really elegant 4-step engine. First, you have to understand the competitive frame, who you're up against in the customer's mind. Second, you map out that mental landscape to find an opening. Third, you have to commit to owning one single powerful idea. And finally, you lock that position in place with relentless, obsessive consistency. Now, this second step is where the real strategic magic happens, perceptual mapping. This isn't about asking customers what they want in a focus group. It's about figuring out what positions are already owned by your competitors inside the customer's head. The entire goal here is to find the white space, that is, an important idea or attribute that nobody else is credibly claiming yet. And this chart is a brilliant way to see how it works. Imagine the car market. You could map all the competitors along 2 axes, like price versus, let's say, performance and safety. You'd see the performance category is pretty crowded at both low and high price points. But look at that safety row. Maybe there's a low price competitor, but that spot at the intersection of high price and safety is wide open. That's your white space. That is the unclaimed territory that a brand like Volvo famously moved into to claim and completely own. So once you've found that white space, you move to attribute ownership. And honestly, this is the most disciplined and often the hardest step for any organization.
It demands that you distill everything your brand stands for, all your features, your benefits, your company's story, down to a single word or concept. For Volvo, that word became safety. For Google, it was search. It is a non-negotiable commitment. You can't be safe and fast and luxurious. You have to pick one. You have to be the safest, period.
And finally, you have to defend that position with what we're calling a consistency lock. This means every single ad, every product feature, every press release, every customer service interaction has to reinforce your one core idea. This constant repetition taps into a really cool psychological principle called the availability heuristic. Basically, our brains are wired to assume that things we can recall easily are more important and more true. So by constantly hammering home that one idea, you make it the most available thought in the category, effectively locking it into the market's long-term memory.
Okay, so now we know what the system is, but why is it so unbelievably effective? Well, the answer isn't in some marketing textbook, it's deep inside our own psychology. Positioning works because it aligns perfectly with how our brains are fundamentally wired. At its very core, our brain is a survival machine, and that means its number one job after keeping us alive is to conserve energy. Thinking is hard work, it literally burns calories. Because of this, we all have this deep-seated, powerful instinct to seek out simplicity. We look for shortcuts, we run from complexity. And a great positioning strategy is like a gift to the brain. It hands it the exact shortcut it was desperately searching for. The fancy term for this mechanism is cognitive load reduction. Now, cognitive load is just the total amount of mental effort you're using at any one time. So when a customer is trying to make a buying decision and they're comparing dozens of features from a bunch of different brands, that creates a massive cognitive load. It's confusing, it's stressful, it's tiring. A well-positioned brand just cuts through all that. It eliminates the stress by reducing the choice to one simple, single dimension. And this creates such a stark contrast in the customer's mind. I mean, just look at this. On the left, you have the typical choice we face every day, a long, confusing list of specs, high cognitive load. On the right, you have the positioned choice. Car B stands for one thing, safety. If that is your main priority, the decision is practically made for you. It's almost effortless. This incredible simplicity creates a powerful psychological effect we call anchoring. The positioned brand becomes the mental benchmark for the entire category. So when you start thinking about buying a safe car, you start with Volvo. Every other car is then judged in relation to Volvo on that one dimension of safety. By owning the idea, you get to define the rules of the game, forcing everyone else to play on your home turf. So we get the theory and we get the psychology behind it. Now for the big question. How do you actually apply this? Let's distill this whole thing down into a practical, actionable framework you can use. The path to mastering this really follows 3 clear commands. First, externalize the competition. Second, own one word. And third, enforce consistency. Step 1 is all about looking outward, not inward. You have to stop analyzing your own product's features for a minute and start analyzing the mental landscape of your customer. You have to build that perceptual map. Get a whiteboard, draw your axes, price versus speed or convenience versus quality, whatever matters in your market, and plot where your competitors live. Your one and only goal here is to find that empty, valuable, and defensible piece of real estate. All right, now for the most critical step. And this is the one that requires real strategic sacrifice. You have to take your entire value proposition, everything you do well, and have the courage to distill it down to a single word. What is the one thing you can be the best in the world at in the mind of the customer? Is it speed? Is it simplicity? Luxury? You have to choose one. And this isn't just a marketing slogan. This becomes your strategic North Star. And finally, you have to enforce a brutal, relentless consistency. This can't be optional. You need mandatory brand guidelines that dictate exactly how your chosen word is communicated everywhere. Every piece of advertising copy, every social media post, every image, every product decision must serve to reinforce your position. It's this relentless discipline that builds that mental anchor and makes your position totally unassailable over time. So let's bring all this together. When you combine this strategic framework with a deep understanding of human psychology, you arrive at the core, unassailable truth behind what it takes to dominate a market. And this is really the most important takeaway from all of this. The physical marketplace, it's secondary.
The true battlefield, the arena where dominance is actually won or lost for good, is that little bit of space between your customers' ears. It is a competition for psychological territory, and the winner is always the one who builds the strongest, clearest structure in that very limited space.
You see, the ultimate goal of positioning isn't just to be the preferred brand. It's to become the default brand. It's to get to a point where your brand name actually becomes a verb, like when we say we're going to Google something. At that point, you are no longer just a choice within the category. Your brand is the category. You've transformed from being just another option into the automatic, instinctual answer. And so we'll leave you with this final thought. We often think of marketing as this complicated process of pushing customers through a funnel, but the most powerful strategy does the exact opposite. It establishes a strong, clear position, a single idea of value, and it pulls people toward it like a gravitational force. Because when you truly own a word in the mind, you don't need to chase customers anymore. They already know exactly where to find you.